This is ABC7 News at 11, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Hi, I'm Ray Collins. Haley is off tonight. It may be the most watched debate in U.S. history. Two candidates with over a month to the election. Republican nominee Donald Trump and Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton on the same stage for the first time of their three appearances this election season, shaking hands before going to their respective podiums. And then the gloves came off. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez is at the Hofstra University site in Hempstead, New York tonight, where the debate was held. She joins us live now with a recap of this first presidential encounter.
Good evening. Well, you can see the huge crowd gathering here in the spin room, waiting to see if at least one of the candidates will come through here and answer questions about tonight's fierce battle on that debate stage.
Democratic nominee for President of the United States, Hillary Clinton, and Republican nominee for President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Facing off for the first time.
I will release my tax returns against my lawyer's wishes when she releases her 33,000 emails that have been deleted.
I made a mistake using a private email.
That's for sure.
And if I had to do it over again, I would obviously do it differently.
Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump each on the attack, dishing personal punches.
Donald, I know you live in your own reality, but that is not the fact.
But you have no plan.
Oh, I do.
And hitting each other on the issues, from taxes.
My tax cut is the biggest since Ronald Reagan.
Your plans would add $5 trillion to the debt.
To stop and frisk.
The argument is that it's a form of racial profiling.
We have to take the guns away from these people that have them and that are bad people that shouldn't have them.
Stop and frisk was found to be unconstitutional. And in part because it was ineffective.
Mistake.
With 1 out of 5 voters saying they could change their minds after the debate, the candidates fighting hard to turn this tight race.
I think Donald just criticized me for preparing for this debate. And yes, I did. And you know what else I prepared for? I prepared to be president.
Well, I have much better judgment than she does. I think my strongest asset, maybe by far, is my temperament.
And Trump and Clinton will meet for 2 more debates. The next will be a town hall in St. Louis on October 9th. Live in Hempstead, New York, Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News. Now back to you.
Thank you, Marcy. More debate reaction now from Jack Riley. He is the assistant professor of political science at New College of Florida. Jack, thanks for your time tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Any reaction to tonight's debate?
I think tonight's debate was roughly what most people expected. Clinton showed command of the issues. Trump was very bombastic. I think that overall, no one really scored a knockout tonight. That Clinton maybe won on points, but didn't change anything significantly. Any
big surprises in your mind?
No, this really kind of went for a debate that everyone wasn't sure what to expect on, this one went roughly what everyone thought it might.
How important is this debate to the overall race, do you think?
I think that in general, presidential debates don't actually have the impact that most people think they do, or that many people think they do. Usually you'll see a debate happen and there'll be a couple good zingers, and then a week out, everything will be roughly the same as it was.
Now, the next appearance will be between the two at a town hall format, October 9th. Will that favor either candidate?
It's hard to say. I think that Donald Trump might find himself a little more comfortable in the town hall format, but we'll have to wait and see.
How about the host tonight, Lester Holt? Did he do okay for himself?
I think he did very well. I think this was a very hard debate to moderate, and he did excellently.
Okay. Professor Riley, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank
Good
you.
to have you here. A local presidential historian says tonight's debate was the most important in our history. And here's why he says that.
This is an election with more undecideds than is usual in a presidential campaign. This debate will help make them decide what to do.
Despite months of campaigning, Sarasota-based presidential historian Mark Weston says, make no mistake, this debate was, well, huge.
There's no second way to make a first impression.
And Weston knows his presidential history. His most recent book, The Runner-Up Presidency, goes all the way back to the start of our democracy. And he compares this debate to 2 other races in our more recent past.
In 1960 and 1980, you had John Kennedy and then Ronald Reagan both trying to let the public know that they could be presidential. But John Kennedy had been a senator from Massachusetts for 8 years. Ronald Reagan had been a governor from California for 8 years, even though before that he was a movie actor. So both of them had a lot of government experience going into their race for the presidency. Donald Trump has never had any government experience at all. So for him to show that he's presidential is far more important than for any previous candidate. And for the public wants to know, can this man do it? So yes, this debate tonight was probably the most important debate in history.
And he says more pressure was on Donald Trump than Hillary Clinton.
What he needed to do tonight was show that he could be a president.
Don't forget the deadline to register to vote is fast approaching. You must be registered by Tuesday, October 11th, to cast your ballot. The election is the 8th of November. On to other news now. Lightning caused 2 close calls today, both in Sarasota County. Firefighters and EMS responded to Hart's Landing about 7 o'clock tonight for reports of someone being struck on or near the Ringling Causeway. The county spokesman says nobody wound up going to the hospital. A similar situation this afternoon at a home off Tuttle and Fruitville, where a resident was on the phone when they said they felt the effects of a lightning strike. Let's get the first forecast now. And Bob, that weather came on fast about 7 p.m. in Sarasota County.
It's been crazy the last 2 nights. In fact, lots of lightning earlier today that has since moved off into the Gulf of Mexico. And again, that lightning activity is starting to wind down. We have an upper level low. It means some colder air in the upper levels of the atmosphere, which really intensified the storms once they grew. And I tell you, the rainfall was pretty heavy too in some areas, with up over 2 inches of rain in parts of the Suncoast. Now we are looking at the potential for a few more storms tomorrow. Not as many. I think most of the action will be inland tomorrow as this upper level low kind of shifts off to the east, but there'll be a few around still. As I mentioned, all the rain offshore right now, and we did have some hail, at least estimated up to about a dime size in some cases, or pea size, I should say. Arcadia, just over 2 inches of rainfall there. Estimates of 1.3 inches near the Venetian, and also stretching northward up near Parrish and also Palmetto along State Road 64, Manatee County. I-75, over an inch of rain fell in just a short period of time. As far as our current conditions go, it's cooled down a little bit. It's quite nice after the rain, 75 degrees. Dew point is at 71. The pressure 30.01 inches, and that is holding steady really. South to southeast winds at 8 miles an hour. Overall forecast tonight, we're looking for low temperatures pretty much where they are right now, into the mid 70s. And then we'll warm back up again into the upper 80s to near 90 degrees. A little later in this newscast, we're going to talk more about this disturbance, 97L, which is east of the Windward Islands in the Caribbean. It is showing signs developing, and now it has a 90% chance developing in 5 days and 80% chance of developing in the next 2 days. We'll let you know where the path and track are forecast to go coming up in a little bit. Right back to you.
All right, talk to you soon. Thank you, Bob. A little girl is in serious condition after her mother's boyfriend allegedly fractured her skull. A warning now, some of these pictures are indeed graphic. Sarasota County Sheriff deputies arrested Nicholas Ritter over the weekend after bringing a 3-year-old girl to the hospital in Sarasota and telling staff she had fallen. Well, doctors found 2 skull fractures, a laceration on her chin, and internal bleeding. Ritter was arrested and later admitted to deputies he had been alone with the toddler, but wouldn't say whether or not he abused her. Someone who knows Ritter had this reaction.
I don't even know what an appropriate punishment would be, but I would say if he got 20 years, I'd say, all right, kind of okay with that.
I have 2 small children of my own. It scared the daylights out of me that something like that could happen to a little girl with somebody that she trusted.
Ritter is now charged with aggravated child abuse. The little girl is breathing and moving on her own, but has not yet awakened. Meantime, donations are pouring in. So far, $5,000 and growing in just 1 day on the family's GoFundMe account. A fund for victims of the Orlando nightclub shooting has raised nearly $30 million for nearly 300 claimants. Donations poured into the One Orlando Fund from 150,000 individuals in more than 120 countries. Claimants were separated into 4 categories: deceased, hospitalized, outpatient, or present inside the Pulse nightclub. A gunman opened fire 3 months ago, killing 49 and injuring 53 others. It was the worst mass shooting in modern U.S. history. While making campaign stops throughout the state, Democratic vice presidential candidate Tim Kaine went to the nightclub today. He was joined by former Congressperson Gabby Giffords. Kaine left flowers at the memorial site. It's a miracle milestone for a Sarasota baby. Nico Marquez is celebrating his first birthday after being born with a rare heart defect called TGA, which leaves two main arteries going out of the heart reversed. But thanks to a simple screening at SMH, Nico was able to get corrective surgery at Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital before the condition impacted his health.
Sarasota Memorial Hospital was an early adopter of something called the pulse ox screening, which is a screening tool that we use to look for the most dangerous types of newborn heart disease.
So just how lucky is little Nico? About 30% of newborns with critical heart disease show no symptoms, and about 200 babies in the U.S. die each year because